Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome back to another edition of the Mortgage Mike Speaks podcast. Yes. I am Mortgage Mike.
Yep, I'm Steven Salinas, loan officer with the Mortgage Mike Group, and we have a special guest with you today, a good friend.
Real good friend.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm Jake. Jacob. How are you? We should tell everybody who you are. Yes. Jake Wernitznig. Or Jacob. I know, man, I've known you long enough to get it right.
That's the sign
right on. So, with Jake or Jacob, it depends on what is,
depends on how well you know me,
right?
How comfortable you are. But
yeah,
I always formally introduce as Jacob if it's an email or whatever. But after a while, everybody just kind of calls me Jake.
So. There you go. Well, we like Jake.
Awesome.
Works out for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, if this is your first time listening, this is the Mortgage Mike Speaks podcast. Steven and I are part of the Mortgage Mike Group. We do mortgages here in the state of Texas, and we are known for putting the fun back in funded.
Yeah.
Everyone okay,
it's
just flat.
Everybody
okay,
says
good. All right, we just keep trying. I keep trying it out. I don't know. Somebody might grab hold of it.
I like it.
You know, I don't know.
I like it because it can be a not so fun process. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear just all the stories of, what people think it's going to be like, just so nervous about getting the process started. And a lot of what we do is just manage people's emotions.
Yeah. We manage fear.
We're counselors.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah. Counselors, therapists.
Right. Yeah. Give them a shoulder to cry on.
Sometimes.
Oh man, we pull some stuff out of hats around here.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah, we pray. That's our.
We do everything we can.
By the way, our secret weapon is prayer.
Yes.
I'm sure
a lot of y'all's loans have been prayed for.
Lots and lots of times too.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, Lord, you got an answer. We don't know what it is. Lead us to it. And he delivers every time, which is so nice. So.
Exactly. Cool. Well, I know that we have background on, we know Jake, but Jake, tell everybody
the world a little bit about you,
who you are, where you're from. And
man, so where I'm from, I'm originally born and raised in British Columbia, Canada, small town. Most people haven't heard of it. If I tell people I'm from BC, they automatically think Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I was actually on the opposite end of the province, a small town called Cranbrook. And we were population right around 20,000 people. So, not quite really a city, but not a village either.
Yeah.
And I was born and raised there, lived there for 27 years, I think. I moved here in 2015 and came to Houston. Didn't know a soul, but my upbringing was in Canada.
Whoa. Okay, hang on. You leave beautiful, cold Canada.
Cold, yeah.
Cold. And on it, and then, I'm going to Houston. What was the draw? What was the reason?
So, a big part of it was that my mom was American. So she was born and raised in Washington State, right across the border from British Columbia. My dad was Canadian. So I had my dual citizenship.
Okay, cool.
And my mom worked really hard for me to get that. Mm-hmm. And so as I got older, I kind of realized that it would be a shame to never make use of that dual citizenship. It's not easy to get with the US and with Canada. And also it's not something that a lot of people have.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I was just at a point in my life where, a town of 20,000 people, there's only so many people there. There's only so many opportunities. You're a young single guy. There's only so many bars. You kind of get tired of doing the same thing, same people every single weekend. Right. And I started to look around, and when you get to that age, you start thinking like, what is my future? Right. You see a lot of people where, they might be happy or content, but they don't really change. Right.
Yeah.
Life just kind of seems so simple and the same. And you see people for 10, 15 years and their life seems like it never changes. And I don't know. I guess I started looking for more of what I wanted and thinking about what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I was just looking for change. So I had worked for a company there for 7 years, and they were an international company in the plumbing and heating wholesale industry. And they had divisions all throughout the US. So I just kind of decided, what better way to find work in the US than utilize my experience, not just in an industry, but with a particular company. Mm-hmm. And so I started looking online one night at all their US job openings. And I literally just sent an application, a resume to every city in the US that I could see myself living in. It didn't matter what the job is,
Right
because
on.
I was
Yeah.
already confident that, you know, if I could get my foot in the door and I liked the place and the city, that I could work my way up depending on where it started. So the two
Mhm.
places that came back and actually had interest in me were Boulder, Colorado, and Houston.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I ended up with job offers from both. But the company in Boulder was a startup. And in that model, it was a lot of your compensation was based on profit sharing. So if
Yeah.
you're a startup location,
Mhm.
A, you don't know if you're going to make it,
Right.
but B, even if you do well, your first 3 to 5 years are probably not going to be very profitable. And that wasn't the be all end all. I've never been ultimately motivated or driven by money.
Mhm.
But the other part of it was that Boulder is beautiful and it's in the mountains and
Yeah.
you've got everything there, but it was so similar to where I was already living.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I kind of said, you know what, if I want change, I'm really going to get change and get away from the snow for a while.
Oh,
And the other thing
Yeah.
that I really like is that I spoke to the people in Colorado over the phone and video conferencing or whatever. But in Houston, not only did they want me to meet them, but they wanted to meet me. So they actually flew me
Nice.
down to Houston.
Cool.
And I just really fell in love, not with just the area and the location, but with the people. You know,
Yeah.
and growing up in Canada, you know, everybody always makes fun of how polite they are, and we're sorry this and sorry that, and sorry for saying sorry and all this stuff. But what I like about Texas was that the people were as close to that sort of mentality and just that
Yeah.
that kindness
Mhm.
and respect, I guess. You know, everybody was just treated nicely. The only exception to that I've seen in Texas and Houston specifically is on the road.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
Houston
All
Houston
manners,
drivers
all
are
manners are thrown out the window.
yeah, Houston drivers are just like our neighbors in Alberta up in Canada, and we just, you know, but whatever. Outside of the road, they're just, people are so kind and
Yeah.
respectful, and I think there's a lot of tradition in Texas, and I really love that. So those are kind of the things that drove me here, you know. And
Wow.
I was a single guy and said, hey,
You
why
could.
not? I'll come to the 4th largest city in the US and
Yeah.
meet some people, have some fun.
Right on.
So, and it's funny, as a single guy, came down here thinking, well, you know what, I'm going to have a great time and meet a lot of lovely ladies and this and that. And about 3 months after I moved here, I met my wife.
Right on. Even
All
better.
these visions and
go.
ambitions of this fun single life.
There you go.
I mean, everything happens for a reason. But,
Settle down.
Yeah.
So
So-
that's how I ended
wow.
up here, man.
Yeah.
But,
I love it.
Well, there, I will say, I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I grew up in Houston, and there was a time when Houston driving was not as bad as it is today.
right.
In fact, you didn't honk your horn. You would not believe this, but honking your horn was frowned upon.
Right.
You rarely heard a
You
honking
don't
horn.
do that.
Now people honk their horn all the time.
Yes.
You know.
Well, now it's you're behind someone that is not
Yeah.
even, they're
From
texting.
Yeah, right.
And now you're
They're
like,
for
okay,
someone else, and they're
all right,
honking
Yeah.
a horn. They're messing things up here.
Come on. Let's
Anyway,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so you got here on through plumbing and heating supply.
Yep.
Real estate.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So there's a couple of things, I guess, that I had seeds planted within me. So,
Mhm.
you know, people ask me how long I've been in real estate, and I've been licensed since 2018 as a realtor.
Yeah.
But my journey with real estate started a long time ago. I mean, I flipped my first home actually with my dad. He was in financial trouble, so I said, okay, you know what, I'm gonna buy half this house with you. So we refinanced the house with
Mhm.
50-50 on it, and I said, we're gonna flip this home. We're gonna remodel it, then we're gonna sell it, and that was just the best thing for him at that point. And we refinanced, remodeled, flipped it, sold it. And so that was kind of my first experience in real estate. And so it was years after that I actually got my license. But in that time, what had happened is I had a really good friend, one of those kids, you know, small town, we hated each other growing up in school. But as we got older, it's like we were button heads, but we found what we enjoyed about each other. The more we
Yeah.
got to know about each other, the more we appreciated, the more we bonded,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But he was a driver for Coca-Cola. So he drove tractor
Okay.
trailer up there with his CDL, or what Canadians call their class 1. He was making good money, and he was doing long haul driving, delivering Coca-Cola products all over the place. But he got into an accident. He loved being out hunting, and he was on a four-wheeler, and he flew off this four-wheeler one weekend, and he flew off this hill, and he landed on his feet, but he'd flown so far that when he landed, he crushed everything from his waist down.
My gosh.
And so he was in the hospital for several months, and I feel like the doctors told him, like, hey, be prepared to probably never walk again, right? Thankfully, the guy is he's a bull. He's just a fighter, and he fought through it. Now he walks, he's in pain, but he does walk. But obviously, going from a career of driving truck, he couldn't get behind the wheel and make a living anymore doing that. So I witnessed this guy who was just as educated as I was, but we used our body to make money. He was no longer able to do that. And after a few months of just recovering through the hospital and all that stuff, he figured out that he could make money through real estate. So I watched this guy with no experience, no real money. I mean, he made decent money with coke, but it's not like he was stashing money aside for real estate or anything. No experience, no real money, no major assets. He went from nothing to building an empire.
Wow.
Within the short period of probably 5 years. And we were in our mid-20s. So that's when, he showed me the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
So you got to read this. And I read it. And then I watched it. I watched it in action, and I watched it happen. And that's when I realized how powerful real estate was.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, and when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I knew that real estate would be a part of my future. And in my mind, from that aspect, I always wanted it to be more from the investment side. But when I ultimately decided to get my license, I was just looking for a career change. I was tired of being in the corporate model. My buddies and I, that one friend of mine that I was just talking about, Brady, he and I had both adopted that mindset of you don't need a degree to be successful. You don't need a degree to make good money. You don't need a degree to be impactful in the world. And so we made a conscious decision not to go to college.
Yeah.
And had my mom still been alive, she would be turning over in her grave right now.
Right.
But that was the choice that we made. And what I found in that corporate model is that even though I had lots of experience, I felt like I was good at what I could do. There was still that sort of favoritism to the degree, even with people that had no experience. And once I had a little bit of entrepreneurship planted in me, my wife and I had started a side business of our own. And once you start opening that Pandora's box of just getting a taste of making your own money, what it's like to build your own business, be your own boss. It's not all that it's made out to be sometimes, but once you get a taste of that, for me, it became very hard to remain in that employee mindset. And that's when I said, you know what, I already know that real estate is going to be a part of my future. I'm already involved in sales. That's basically been my livelihood for a decade. So I said, why don't I just take the two of those, put them together? I'm going to get to know the Houston market. And I use that to get to know the market, to meet investors, see opportunities. We bought a couple buy and hold properties. So long-term, that's a big part of my plans.
Right.
But in the meantime, I just took what I already knew and put it into real estate. So I just kind of took my vision and my skill set and merged them together. And that's how I ended up here.
I love it.
Yeah. That's really cool.
You made a change recently.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that. I mean, because I know where you were before.
Yeah.
It's a great model because I know fed you a good stream of business, allowed you to get the experience you need. And I will say this, like, what I really, really love about you, Jake, is every time I saw you, you're a reader, you seek out knowledge. I think you're just not sitting back waiting. You're looking for, you're learning, you're educating yourself. So I just had to say that. I love that about you.
I appreciate it.
I always notice that every time I came in the office, I saw you guys like, what's he reading? And it was usually a pretty good book. But like, what was looking at the transition from, okay, you're in kind of a real estate office where you're able to work through opportunities as they come to you.
Yep.
And then now we're at eXp, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Tell me about that transition. What brought it? Where are you going? What's your vision?
So there's a lot of different facets to that, I guess. And you're right, where I was a great model, and a lot of people are surprised, even though I'm at eXp, where a big opportunity is building a team, I still recommend that brokerage. I
Heck
still
yeah.
recommend that
I
model.
agree. It's a great
If
one.
you're a new agent to the industry,
Mhm.
or even if you've been around for a while and you don't either have the skill set of going and building your own book of business, building your sphere of influence, or maybe you just choose not to. Maybe you've been there, done that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe
it
you're
is.
just at a stage where you don't want to do that. That model that I came from, I'm so grateful for.
Mhm.
The broker is awesome. He's
Agree.
built such a good, successful team, and the proof is in the pudding. I mean,
Surely.
they're putting out great numbers over the
Surely.
past year.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I still recommend it. The challenge that I had is that with any sort of job or career path that I've been into, if I get to the point where I kind of feel like it's just the same old thing,
Yeah.
and it's routine, I start to almost shut down a little bit, because it's not challenging to me and it's not intriguing. And that's not to say that there isn't more to do. I for sure could have done more and pushed myself harder and continue to improve in that model. But when I start to feel that way, success is up and plateau and down and then up and plateau. And there's all sorts of plateaus along the path to success, right? So when I hit a plateau like that, I look at two different things. I look at, first off, what could I be doing better, right? And why have I plateaued? But the other thing I look at is, if I continue down this path, what is my future, right?
Yeah.
And so the great thing about that model is that everything you need is there for you. The challenge that I had was that I couldn't see the future being a whole lot better than where I was at, which was okay, but it's a lot of work. And the only way that I could really see success growing more and more is just by doing more and more and more deals.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But for me, I would rather, use that example of doing business smarter, not always harder, right? There's got to be a balance. You got to work hard, but at the same time, when you start having kids and you've got a family and wife at home and all this stuff, your time becomes a lot more valuable, right? So I don't necessarily want to be out there 12 hours a day showing homes or going on listing appointments. I mean, that's a great thing to be able to do, and it's a great part of the process. But we've got to start to reevaluate how we use our time. And so that's why with eXp, I really enjoy that, because it's just got such a different opportunity that from what I've found, most other real estate brokerages, especially local ones, they just can't offer it, you know? And I had talks with that brokerage about staying there, and they wanted to retain me, and I didn't want to leave. I've never been a grass is greener type of person. I like to build things. I like being on teams. I like growing that sense of community and just that common goal, right? But the challenge was that there's just no way for a lot of those models, including the one that I was in, to accommodate what my long-term goals and vision were. Right? So eXp does that. They give you the opportunity to grow as big as you want, whether it's individually yourself by helping people buy and sell, rent, whatever, or if you choose to, you can start your own team. Right? Without necessarily going and becoming a broker, and you can do it at your own pace. You could never ever, what I like about it is that a person can come onto the model and they could never ever build a team if they ever wanted to. If they're already a successful agent or they want to become a successful agent, you could just do it solo for the rest of your life and make a great living. Right. Now, at the same time, if you want to grow a team, the opportunity is there. And the opposite can be said too. I've seen people who either they've remove themselves from the sales part of real estate, or maybe they never really did it, but they're just kick ass at building teams. I've seen people go the opposite route where all they focus on is building teams, right? So what I like about it is it's flexible and you can make it fit whatever your goals are. Often it's a combination of both.
Where do you feel like you lean more?
Right now, my goal, and I knew this kind of going into it, as I'm still transitioning. I'm with eXp. I've been with them since about Christmas time. But there are just so many different tools that we have at our fingertips. I'm still working through all of that. So my first goal right now is just to become really familiar with everything that we have, not just familiar with it, but confident with everything. And I am. Everything I'm seeing, it
Mhm.
works. And I love the tools that they've got. As time goes by over the next 1 to 3 years,
Mhm.
my goal is to start building a team.
Got it.
Yeah.
And, Mike, you and I have had lots of chats, and I think that you're the type of person that loves to pour into people and
Mhm.
kind of build that team and
Yeah.
help coach people bring out the best in themselves. And that's something that I share in common with you.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. I love helping people buy and sell homes. I love the real
Yeah.
estate aspect of it. But what I love even more is working with people and building a team. That's,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
long term, that's what's in it
Yeah.
for me.
It's good. I mean, because we love that a lot of our partners have a very similar kind of mindset
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
us. We always are looking to kind of give back. This is my first kind of job out of school.
Yeah.
And one thing I like to do when I was in school was, be a part of like organizations that do like counseling.
Yeah.
Whether it being like a camp counselor all the way to like helping out in schools and stuff like that. And kind of like you said, like I know I'm good at these things.
Yeah.
I don't really know where that lands me.
Yeah.
But
What do I do with it?
here I am. And in this industry, like real estate, mortgage industry, there's a lot that you can gain from bringing in people, training them, growing these teams, because
Yeah.
you start speaking the same language, and it helps create a better client experience for like the people that you work with.
100%.
Yeah.
And the other side of that too, and I'm sure you guys see it in the mortgage world, because as an agent, I see it all the time.
Uh-huh.
But as a consumer, what I found is that in the fourth largest city in the United States, what are we, over 2 million people in Houston proper? It took me
In this little square mile
it
that
took
we're in.
me a year and a half to find a good realtor.
Right.
And that wasn't for lack of trying. That wasn't because I wasn't talking to agents. I wasn't looking or anything. I was out there looking. I was talking to many agents.
Uh-huh.
It was hard enough for me to find somebody who would just return my phone call or my email. Right?
What? Isn't that crazy?
And when I finally found the agent who helped me buy my first property before I was licensed, she even said to me, she's like, hey, I'll help you through the process. And she liked working with investors. I told her like, hey, I want to buy an investment property and this and that. We ended up living in it. It was our primary residence, but ultimately we wanted to use it as an investment. But even she told me, she's like, if you're looking for an agent that's going to go out there and find a house for you, I'm not that agent.
Wow.
Like, wow. But you know what? She did what I needed. She communicated. She did what she said she was going to do. She helped me negotiate the deal, all that stuff that we're expected to do. But even at that point, an agent that just flat out said, hey, if you want somebody to go out there and help you find a place, I'm not it. What that told me is like, man, everything that if I did that in the industry that I was in, I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I realized is that, and she's a great agent. She's still out there. I still get emails from her on her drip list and this and that. And I know she's doing well. She definitely didn't need my business, so I'm grateful that she helped me. But what that experience taught me was that if somebody just took a little bit of good practices, a few good practices and basic communication skills and integrity, respond to people, do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
If you just did that, you'd be better than probably 80% of the people in this industry. And I see that on the mortgage side.
I'm gonna say 95% of the people, right? Yeah.
So that's what really started to get me thinking, like, this industry needs better people. And I'm not saying that I'm the best, but I try to do what I say I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have basic communication skills,
yeah,
you shouldn't be in sales
at all,
really.
Yeah.
But not only that, you should definitely not be helping people buy and sell what's more often than not the most expensive assets in their life.
Right.
Absolutely.
But we see that on the mortgage side too. So
yeah,
that's awesome that you've taken those same values and kind of those skill sets and brought it here, because the industry really does need more good people.
Yeah, they need people that care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that's where it kind of comes down to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say that, working with you, Jake, I think you're one of the best agents I know, man.
Yeah.
You're really good at you're really good at what you do.
We'll tag him and you'll be able to find his profile.
You take great care of your clients. They appreciate you. I know how hard you work for them, because you'll work with them. You'll help them. You'll stick with them all the way through all the sometimes painful shopping that it takes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how many offers do you have to go through in today's market to get one to stick?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you have to go through in inspection periods, and sometimes that can be tough. But I know this
Yeah.
man, you stick it out. You're there with them, you educate them, and if that house doesn't work, you're helping them make the right investment,
Right.
not just to buy a home, but
Yeah.
but to make a good investment in real estate.
Yeah.
And I know it shows in how you care and what you do in taking care of your clients, man. So
appreciate
I
it.
just speak to experience on that with you.
Yeah.
And like Steven said, I mean, a lot of what we do, I mean, it's what we do is a lot of things, but a lot of what we do
Yeah.
is just managing emotions, right?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Setting right expectations from the get-go, and then managing emotions as we go through the process. And it's so important. And the other thing that, we really have to focus on all sides of the industry, but especially as agents and mortgage reps, is our fiduciary responsibility.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
We're
Mhm.
not, I don't refer to myself as a salesperson.
Mhm.
Sales is part of the process. That's
Right.
the end result. But what I do is not sales.
Yeah.
I refer to myself more as an industry expert, a real estate professional, or consultant. That's really ultimately how I think of myself, because
Right.
my job is not to convince somebody to sell something. My
Yeah.
job is not to convince somebody to buy something. My job is to understand what somebody's goals are, and then use my experience and my knowledge and my skill set to help them achieve that goal. Right.
Right on.
And
Awesome.
like you said, sometimes that's a long process.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there where, they get tired of showing homes,
Mhm.
or they
Mhm.
get tired of getting multiple offers on these properties. And they're like, you got to buy this house. This is
Right.
the one, right? We got to do this. We got to make it happen. You got to go $30,000 over the asking price, no option
Mhm.
period. And this
Right.
Or, it's the multiple offer situation, and, you get 5 offers, and it's like, okay, this is the best one. You got to go with that. That's it. Right.
Mhm.
Because they just want to get to that end result of the sale.
Yeah, they want the close.
But we're not putting our fiduciary responsibility on the table like we're supposed to. We need to
Mhm.
represent our client. Right?
Yeah.
I don't even think of people as clients. I think of them as partners, because
Right.
for that period of time when you're working together, to me, that's a partnership.
Right on.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, when it comes down to it, just what we've got to do. And sometimes that requires telling a client, I don't think this is the property for you.
Right.
We need to move on. Or, yeah, you can go ahead and make an offer, and it's going to be over asking if you really want to win it. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's okay. You
Yeah.
can keep looking. Right. Or whatever the case may be with the seller. When the market changes a little bit, sometimes you start getting those lower
Mhm.
offers. I've told people, hey, I don't like this offer. You can accept it. And if you want to go ahead with it, I'll help you do that. But I think it might be better to wait.
Yeah.
The broker that I was with, he'd refer to those as tough conversations, and they are, but
Mhm.
that's what we need more of in this industry.
Yeah.
Just really genuinely caring about the person, not putting ourselves and our conditions
First.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those tough conversations actually will strengthen your relationship with them.
100%. We go
Yeah.
into it and we're scared to have the conversation, but the people that we're working of typically think so much more of us after
Yeah.
we have that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they get to see that part of you, like that piece of integrity that you have.
Right.
They can tell whenever you press in, and it's a hard conversation, but we have the same goal in mind to close.
Right.
And I think we definitely have had to have those hard conversations.
Yeah.
And whether it's with our clients, I like what you said, like our partners, when at the end of it, you both feel like it's a win-win
Right.
for everybody.
Yeah. Nobody has to walk out losing.
No one has to
Yeah.
lose.
Right. I mean, even a
Yeah.
negotiation, a contract. I mean, seller feels good, buyer feels good about what they've come to.
Right.
That's great. We all get to the closing table. Everybody feels like, hey, I got something that's of value to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That, like, I don't like that idea of like, well, we're going to negotiate such that somebody loses, because then because somebody's not going to feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Right.
There's such a tendency to focus on all the horror stories
Right.
and challenges or complications that can come up, but there are so many positive things that happen in the process of buying and selling.
Yeah.
It can be a lot of fun. It's just, you got to make it fun, and you've got to work with people who are good at managing the challenging parts and the potentially stressful parts.
Right on.
Yeah.
And that's why I like working with y'all. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All the deals we've done together,
Yeah.
it's been a good ride.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Well,
We as we kind of wrap it up, Mike and I were talking just about, obviously this is a crazy market. It's kind of up and down some days.
Yeah.
What is an encouragement that you can give to our listeners, like during this time? Is now still the right time? What would you say?
The thing that I always tell people is that there's always opportunity. I don't care if the market is up or down, if it's buyers or sellers or neutral, just like the stock market. If you know what you're doing and you're working with the right people and you're not hyper focused on one particular thing, one particular neighborhood or one particular property or whatever, if you're a little bit open-minded or you're patient there's always opportunity.
Right.
And so that's what I would say, between the market going back from buyer to seller and in between and rates rising and dropping, there's never a perfect time.
Right.
So you just have to, at the end of the day, for me, it's math. I'm a logic person. For me, it's always math, but there's an emotional aspect to it. So when you feel like it might be the time to buy or sell, then let's look, because there's always an opportunity, and you work with the right people, and we'll always help you find what you need.
Yeah, I love it. So Stephen and I, we always try to think of like the three descriptors of our guest on the show.
Yes.
Entrepreneur, number one.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we talked about was like caring and having those hard conversations. I think those people that you can have those conversations with are people that you trust. So it's important to have a real estate agent that you trust, and it's also important to have mortgage professionals that you trust.
Right on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another big thing.
Yeah.
I think lastly, it's good to work with people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
It's good to work with people that oftentimes friends refer friends, so it helps to have, leave on good terms with everything that you do, because a lot of what we do is referral.
Right.
Referral.
Yeah. That's why I don't like referring to people as clients, right? I mean, we're not looking for people to work with one time. We're looking, all of us, all three of us, we're looking for people to help for a lifetime.
For a lifetime. Yeah, absolutely. It's not 30 days to closing, it's 30 years.
Yeah.
This is a relationship.
Love it.
Right. You're going to buy, sell, refinance. We
Maybe
want to be
your
a
kids.
part of that. Your children, right? I mean, we did somebody's a child's loan not that long ago, cash out refinance. So there you go. But just, the opportunity. So I hear entrepreneur, I hear, I hear for you, Jake, what I love is that you know the numbers, but you also value the relationship, right? So you can bring that understanding with the emotional understanding, with the financial understanding to help your clients make a great long-term financial decision.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one word that would wrap up that really well, but I can't right now. So yeah, man, I love it. You exemplify that, man. A true professional, lifelong learner.
What's that? Having the high IQ and then having the high
EQ. Yeah,
that's
you do.
what
You
I
have
would
both
say.
of those, man.
On who you talk
That's
to.
what I would say.
My wife might disagree with me sometimes.
We'll bring her on the
wife
podcast.
would
We'll bring her on the
yeah.
podcast.
Hey, she's
We'll bring her on.
getting her license, so
Right on.
I might have to feature her.
Your first team member. There you go.
Oh, that's
right.
perfect.
Yeah.
Keeping it close to home. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool,
Well,
guys.
guys, thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, feel
Yeah.
free to like or subscribe.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, share with
Yeah.
somebody else, like share with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Engage with this.
Smash it.
Smash it.
Smash the like button.
Yeah.
If you would like to come on, tell your
Yeah.
story,
We'll be a guest.
we'd love to have you.
We'd love to have you.
We're here to highlight.
Good people in
Good
our
people.
industry, right?
Yeah.
That make a difference in the lives of the clients that we get to serve. And Jake, you're one of those, brother.
I
Yeah.
I'm
appreciate it,
super
guys.
pleased
Thanks
to
for
know
having
you.
me on.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. We'll see you.